It is Warmageddon, ladies and gentlemen. It just seems like this is the end. This is the collapse of the empire. And for anyone who has read history on ancient civilizations, knows about the Roman Empire, you know the story, you know the tale that when an empire is collapsing, they extend militarily, they try to bombast other regions, other areas, they extend militarily outside their borders while inside their country, inside their land is crumbling within. And that is what is happening, folks, because while they're sending so much concern about Venezuela and Cuba and Greenland and Iran and Gaza and Ukraine still, America is getting worse. America is getting worse. This is how all empires end, and this is what's happening, folks. 2026, the America's 250 seems to be the series finale of America, because everything that you thought was going to change around for the better, you know, that make America great again, make America healthy again, completely died. Completely died. And here, just to show people, this is from the New York Times. So we've already seen the extensive damage that Trump has done in Venezuela. You can see it all over the news. It's like, you know, deja vu for people that were around during the Iraq invasion. You saw the bombardments of bombings and, you know, attacking civilians on the ground, how we're doing this in the intent of, you know, saving those people and bringing them freedom and democracy from an evil ruler, an evil dictator that we kind of partnered with for many years. It's just deja vu all over again. You know, New Year, same bull. That's really what this is. But what's interesting, though, is before New Year's, and this is even from the New York Times, saying that the CIA is said to have conducted a drone strike on the port in Venezuela last week. The first no-land strike after months of boat attacks. So, when the news coverage after New Year's showing the bombardment of bombing, the explosions, just the utter chaos that's going on in Venezuela right now, that Trump's saying it's not warfare. It's not warfare that you commit an act of atrocity. You kidnap a foreign leader, you take them back hostage to your territory, and you prosecute them under U.S. law. That's not a sign of warfare, apparently. I don't know what Jedi mind trick that Trump's trying to pull out of his ass, but that seems like an act of war. That seems like an act of war. If Vladimir Putin did the same thing with an American politician, would America be okay with that? No, it's not an act of war. Of course they would say it's warfare. What if it was a Muslim country that did that? What if it was Canada? What if it was any other nation that illegally stormed into America, kidnapped Donald Trump, send them back to their territory, and prosecute them under their laws? Just saying. But this is interesting. The CIA is said to have conducted a drone strike on the port of Venezuela last week, the first no-land strike after months of boat attacks. And this was happening on December 29th. This is when that came out. So, they've been gearing up this Venezuela attack way before. This has been going on for years. And it's nothing to do with the cartels. It has nothing to do with Nicolas Maduro being a socialist dictator or whatever crap they spew down his throat. It has to do with the oil. It has to do with China and Russia partnering with Venezuela to build up their ports so they can use their canals and use their shipping ports to export materials. So Donald Trump came in to undermine them. Because if you notice, Nicolas Maduro was kidnapped at a time when the Chinese were in Venezuela at the same time. So you could tell from the timing of all of this exactly why this is happening and why they chose now to storm Venezuela. Because if they really cared about freeing the people, why did they choose now? Why they chose 2026 to now finally take the opportunity to throw bombs at a brown country. Timing's everything, ladies and gentlemen. And, Trump saying that this is not a war. I'm still your peace candidate. We're still not involved in regime change wars, which obviously to me, you're kidnapping the president of a foreign country and leaving them high and dry. That describes a regime change. That describes a regime change. But according to Donald Trump, that's not a regime change. We're not at war. We're not militarily striking at all these nations, but we are. And confirming that, while everyone was focused on what happened in Minnesota, which is kind of devastating, but we'll get to that at a later point. This came out. Trump calls for $1.5 trillion military budget in 2027, up from $901 billion in 2026. Your peace candidate, ladies and gentlemen. New Year, same bull. Boy, I wonder where they're going to get the money for that. $1.5 trillion. Yeah, that sounds like a non-interventionist. That sounds like someone that doesn't want to invade countries, that doesn't want to, mess around with other people's nations and how they govern. I want to keep my hands away from it. That's why I'm going to increase the Pentagon, the war budget, to $1.5 trillion. $1 trillion. But thank God we tackled the fraud in Minnesota. Because, all those daycare centers that were stealing a couple $1 million for fraudulent daycare centers, which turned out Nick Shirley was actually the fraudster in that. When you look at the evidence, when you look at the actual presentation of that video, the conception of it, it was all fraudulent. They all made it up. They were already under investigation since 2020 under the Biden administration, which they did not point out. They also didn't point out that these were after-school programs, and technically, after-school programs usually don't open till, after school. So showing up at 10 o'clock in the morning, yeah, there's kind of not going to be kids there. But I'd like to know when Nick Shirley's going to cover this. I'd like to know when Nick Shirley, this, fraud buster, is going to, start to examine all the fraud and the money laundering going on with the Pentagon. That $21 trillion that we still can't recover. The 7 audits that they failed. I'm sure he's going to get right on that, right? So President Donald Trump said on Wednesday the 2027 U.S. budget should be $1.5 trillion, significantly higher than the $901 billion approved by Congress for 2026, boosting defense stocks, but sparking skepticism among budget experts. No kidding. Any such increase in the military budget will require congressional authorization, which could pose a challenge, although Trump's Republicans, who hold slim majorities in both the Senate and the House of Representatives, have shown little appetite for objecting to Trump's spending plans. Now, with Trump's Republicans, and this has been kind of a shaky ground, partly because of the Epstein files. I feel like a lot of the Republicans got on board pre-release of the Epstein files because they followed the Trump train because they know he was going to beat out Kamala Harris, so they just went along with it. But now it's kind of walking on eggshells at this point because, one, you want to stay on the Trump side of things because that's your guy, that's your leader, that's your party. You want to be loyal to your party, and you want to be loyal to your Zionist donors, and the Zionist donors obviously want Trump. But at the same time, your constituents, the people you're representing, are going to be infuriated if you ignore them, ignore their pleas, and side with a possible PDF file. So this is why it's become a shaky ground for a lot of the, basis, the ethos of the Republican base. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of them that are still going to go along with this because, war, it's always good for them. It's always good for the stocks. It's not good for you. It's not good for anyone. But you make a quick buck off the death of other people, then they'll just do it anyway. Trump said in a Truth Social post that he made the decision on 2027 military spending after long and difficult negotiations with senators, congressmen, secretaries, and other political representatives, especially in these very troubled and dangerous times. Oh my God. Do you see how this is like a broken record? Do you see how this is a broken record? Because as long as I can remember, as long as I've been on this earth, it just feels like every single year, they always remind us that it's very troubling, dangerous times right now. There's terrorism alert. There's always something to scare you. There's always some fear to scare people into this because they need people to be scared. They need people to be complicit. So that's why they're going to keep telling you this bullshit line. That sounds like a broken record. And anyone with a functioning brain cell who can remember last year, they said the exact same thing. And the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that. Do you get the picture? They have to keep reminding you that these are dangerous times and there's trouble afoot, and that's why you gotta shut up and get into line because we're caring about your security. Even though the government is the last people you should be trusting for security. And anyone that's seen my TikTok rant, I don't know if I'm going to post on YouTube because it could topple YouTube censors. Knows why I get infuriated with this. The people that are concerned about national security don't give a damn about national security. They don't care about you. None of these people give a damn about you. Because all the people that voted for Trump, a lot of the people that voted for Trump did not want this. So what did Trump do? He did it anyway. He did it anyway because he's bought and captured. He's part of the swamp. Trump didn't drain the swamp. He got captured and sucked into that swamp. Just in the last few days, U.S. forces seized Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro from his country, toppling from power. The White House has also said that the Trump is discussing options for acquiring Greenland, including potential use of the U.S. military. Trump has also deployed U.S. troops to police a number of cities across the country. The news followed a separate Truth Social post from Trump blasting defense companies for producing weapons too slowly. Too slowly. Sounds like Andrew Tate right there. Sounds like Andrew Tate right there. Oh, I don't want, wars to happen, but if they're efficient enough, that's what I want. I want efficient imperialism. I don't want some laggy war that goes on for 20 years. I just want to kill someone right now. Your peace president, ladies and gentlemen. Your peace president. Wow. You're building weapons too slowly. Inity pledged to block defense contractors from paying dividends or buying back shares until they accelerate production. Trump said that the extra spending will be covered by revenues generated by tariffs he has imposed on nearly every country and many industry sectors, and the U.S. will still be able to reduce its debt and send dividend checks to moderate-income Americans. Bullshit. Because I was under the impression when the tariffs were first introduced that was supposed to pay for bringing back American jobs, building up the infrastructure, making America great again. Making America great again. That was the whole point of the tariff war. My understanding of it was. But now he's saying the tariffs are going to be used to pay for the military to go and bombard other countries. That's going to cause further damage, which is going to drive up the cost of living, inflation, which younger people, people within my generation, are also going to have to pay for this on top of the trillions of dollars wasted 20 years ago in Afghanistan and Iraq And he's bullshitting this promise that, oh, we're going to still have some money to give you a small check for you to shut up. This is unbelievable. This is again, it's so amazing. It's so amazing that people were duped in to think that Donald Trump was some sort of savior away from the deep state, that, you know, all the craziness of sleepy eyes Joe Biden or Barack Obama or crooked Hillary Clinton or George W. Bush, any of these individuals, it's not the old, it's the new. It's the same goddamn playbook. Okay? You don't have democracy. You have an oligarchy. This is the oligarchy in action. And none of these people give a damn about you. And that's why a lot of people that voted for Trump in 2024 are never going to vote. They have openly stated, I'm never going to vote again. Because you got duped with the Democrats. A lot of people that cheered on Bernie Sanders, they got duped by the Democrats with that. They voted for Trump thinking that he was going to change. And guess what? Here we are now. It's the same disgusting, deplorable, diabolical system. Which goes to show you that it can never be fixed from the inside. You're never going to vote your way out of this garbage. That's why you need a revolution. That's why you need people to come together on common grounds and common interests to fight this BS. But they're never going to let you do that. That's why they have to keep reminding you about, you know, culture wars and bathrooms and transgender, or the Minnesota Somalis that are stealing all your money, or California, or whatever case may be. They have to keep you distracted and angered and fear and paranoia to keep this going. To keep this goddamn thing going that we know is an utter joke. The Committee for the Responsible Federal Budget and nonpartisan think tank estimated the proposal will cost $5 trillion through 2035, while adding $5.8 trillion to the U.S. debt with interest. Yeah, what happened to the people that were so concerned about the debt? What happened to those people? What happened to the people that said, oh my God, we're spending so much money. Look at the debt that's increasing. And here's the orange buffoon, loudmouth here, announcing $1.5 trillion added more to the military budget. But we're not at war. We're not at war. We're not causing mayhem. We're not causing chaos. Why we add this much money? Why are we adding this much money? Why do we have to keep playing this game? If you're telling me that $1 trillion is not enough to make Americans safe, then obviously this is not working. Obviously this is broken. Obviously this is a scam. They're going to keep this going for as long as it takes, and they're hoping that you're stupid enough and you're blinded and misguided and incompetent enough to not figure out that this is a scam. How gross this is. The Bipartisan Policy Center estimates that combined tariffs raised $288 billion in 2025, well below Trump's own estimates, which have fluctuated around $600 billion in recent days. Byron Callen, a defense analyst with Capital Alpha's partners, said Trump's post raised questions about where the funds would be directed and whether they could be absorbed by the defense sector. He said the last time the U.S. Defense Department saw an increase higher than 50% was in 1951 during the Korean War, with even huge surges in military spending under former President Ronald Reagan in 1981 and 1982, amounting to 25 and 20%. In trading after the markets closed, shares in the biggest defense firms rose on the news as investors bet a surge in spending will bolster profits. New year, same bull. Do you feel proud of yourself? Do you feel proud that no matter who you vote for, you're always, always, always going to get the Luciferic cult of Dick Cheney, of Ronald Reagan, of George H.W. Bush? Do you feel proud that no matter who's in office, it's still the New World Order? It's still globalism? just because it's not Bill Gates or some lefty you think it is, it's still the same corroded system. It's still the same corroded system. So here's Donald Trump's Truth Social tweet. And it says, after long and difficult negotiations with senators, congressmen, secretaries, and other political representatives, I have determined that for the good of the country, especially in these very troubled and difficult times, troubled and dangerous times, our military budget will be for the year of 2027 will be not $1 trillion, but rather $1.5 trillion, the most that anyone's ever seen. This will allow us to build the dream military. Oh my God. It's like reading a child. This is like Eric Cartman, the dream military. What's a dream military? What's a dream military? That's what I want to know. What entitles? What qualifications and credentials would make it a dream military? Because, the $1 trillion that we're already wasting now and the 1,000+ military bases worldwide that we know of, there's also secret military bases that aren't accounted for, but that we know of, and we're still not safe. We're still not safe, apparently, according to schmucks in the White House. You're never going to be safe. It's a scam. And so we know that Trump is bombarding Venezuela. We know that he is still continuing to fund Ukraine, even though he keeps saying that it's going to stop. It's never going to stop until you actually stop the funding of it. Hence why it's going to keep going. We know that he's giving more funds to Netanyahu for the genocide. And it's just going to keep on going. Now, he's jumping to Greenland. Remember those days? Remember those days? Remember people thought that was like a joke? And we kind of just brushed that off? No, he's actually doubling down and tripling down on this, folks. Why Trump wants Greenland? Why the White House thinks it's so important for national security. National security. Oh my God, I didn't realize all those Danish civilians are ready to attack America. I didn't realize the penguins are up and armed. What national security are they talking about here? What national security are they talking about? Because they keep mentioning about how it's important to capture Greenland. They say they want to purchase it, but I doubt that's going to happen. When you're $38 trillion in debt, when your nation is crumbling, when you're already suffering a huge blow of national finances, you're not going to purchase anything. America has no intent to purchase properties. They intend to steal. Hence why they're doing all this. Hence why 2026, again, this is not, I'm trying not to be hyperbolic on this, but it seems like this is the end of America. This is the end of the empire. 250 seems to be the serious finale of the experiment of America by doing stuff like this. So, why is Greenland so important? Well, let's hear it from the horse's mouth himself, standing next to Lindsey Graham. You know why Lindsey Graham likes war? Lindsey Graham, look at him smiling there. Like he just came out of a Cher concert. If the Cher was singing about bombing brown people. We know why Lindsey Graham is always invested in war. It's those precious minerals. Precious minerals, Donnie. You gotta be important about those minerals, Donnie. It's so important. But here, this is what Donald Trump says.
I will say this about Greenland. We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland for the...
Greenland is covered in Chinese and Russian ships. Really? Really? Because I don't see any of that. We haven't seen any of that coverage. There hasn't been any evidence to prove that point. But there is a point to be made about why we think that they're interested in Greenland. Why all of a sudden, after all these years, again, timing is everything when it comes to this. Why do they suddenly think now it's important that America annexes Greenland? Greenland's been there for how many years? America had every opportunity, any administration could have saved the people of Greenland. Any administration could have saved the people of Venezuela. Any administration could have easily done this already. So why are they choosing now? Why are they choosing now? You'll see in a second.
Standpoint of national security, and Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell you. You know what Denmark did recently to boost up security in Greenland? They added one more dog sled. It's true.
Sir,
they thought that was a great move.
What would the justification be for a claim to Greenland? What would the justification?
Oh, I don't want to talk about Greenland now. I just say this. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And the European Union needs us to have it. And they know.
The European Union begs us to have this. They beg us to take over Greenland. Again, if the European Union really wanted America to take over Greenland, they would have just done it already. They would have done it already. So why all of a sudden are we so interested in Greenland after all these years, after all the time that Greenland has existed, all the time that every opportunity America could have done, why all of a sudden now? Oh, maybe because word got out that Greenland has precious minerals. Enough for Lindsey Graham to make that smirk. Oh, Donnie, imagine all those minerals. Oh, it's just so wonderful. Those minerals just soaking onto my skin. Oh, the lithium, that baby lithium. Oh. Because someone leaked out this information. This is from 2023. Surveys showed that 25 of the 34 minerals deemed critical raw minerals by the European Commission were found in Greenland. The moment that was announced, that's when everyone had a freak out, including Elon Musk. And that was what started this whole controversy. Why, I didn't know exactly why Donald Trump was interested, but as soon as Elon Musk chimed in and said, yes, you got to take over Greenland, that's when I figured it out. It's the minerals. It's the critical minerals. Why else would we give a damn about a country occupied by the Danes? Why else would we give a damn about any country on Earth? Unless there was some sort of business opportunity to hijack, to steal, to take the resources, to give the finger to other countries so we can nab it first. Of course this is the case. Of course. This is what's happening. And now there's also talks about, now with the threats increasing on, we need Greenland for national security. There's also been heightened tensions about Canada. Now, I've always stated, when it comes to Canada, this has been my position of this, that I just don't see America taking over Canada after they have said they don't want any of our minerals, they don't want any of our oil, they don't want any of our resources. So I just don't see it being the case for Americans' interests. Like, why would you want to take over a country that you don't want the minerals for? Like, obviously, they're not going to do it for the goodness of their hearts. They're not going to do it for the people. There's always got to be some sort of business opportunity to hijack and take over a country. There's always got to be some sort of business opportunity. So if Trump's saying that, we're doing economic force on Canada, yet at the same time, we don't want the minerals, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Also, adding Canada as a 51st state, you're you're kind of just getting a large Seattle. You're getting a very large Seattle. Now, you have certain factions in, say, the prairie provinces where they're more conservative, but I would say majority of this country is like one giant Washington state. So is that America's interest to get another Washington state? Is that what the mega chuds want? As another blue coastal state, elitist, liberal, snobby provision onto America? Is that what they want? I just don't see why it's in anyone's interest. But I know why people in Canada think that they want America to take over, because they think it's going to, diminish the Mark Carney reign. But as I have stated, the only way we're going to stop the Mark Carney reign is us Canadians have to do something about it. We have to self-determine our country. We have to save the country for ourselves. No one's going to save you. You have to save it for yourself. That's always the case. And not just Greenland, Canada, and Venezuela, but now also Cuba's on this list. I was understanding that Cuba normalized relations with America. I thought things are kind of just, well off with Cuba. But here's little narco here, Narco Rubio, reiterating his dream, his prophecy that he wants to go over and do a regime change in Cuba. And this guy says, Marco Rubio issues a veiled threat at regime change in Cuba. America first is out the door. It is dead. MAGA was duped. So here's little narco fulfilling his prophecy of being the master drug lord that he is.
That helped protect Maduro. This is well known. Their whole spy agency, all that were full of Cubans. I mean, it's amazing. This poor island took over Venezuela in some cases. One of the biggest problems the Venezuelans have is they have to declare independence from Cuba. They tried to basically colonize it from a security standpoint. So, yeah, look, I lived in Havana.
Hold on. So, he makes this weird assumption that somehow Cuba, even though they're poor and they're tiny and they're insignificant, latched itself onto Venezuela, took over Venezuela, and that's why we got to go after Cuba. Yeah, just the mental gymnastics these people go through to try to trick us. The thing about the early 2000s is everyone kept the same lie. Everyone kept the same lie. They had their ducks in a row. Everyone said weapons of mass destruction. They repeated it like a broken record, and it worked. It tricked people. It was also post 9/11. People were scared and terrified, so that kind of also helped, push people into the war direction. But here you are in 2026, and no one can get their story straight. That's why this is such a joke. That's why it's literally such a joke. You started off saying that this is about narco-terrorism and crack cocaine and fentanyl and what else there. Then you go on to say that, it's because of communism. It's because of socialism. Now it's, their oil infrastructure is terrible. So we need to go in. We need to get American companies to go in, subsidize them with American tax dollars, and rebuild the country. So what story is it? What fable is it that you want to go into Venezuela and save the people? Now he's saying we got to go to Cuba.
And I was in the government, I'd be concerned, at least a little bit.
Cutting off the oil flow to Cuba from Venezuela?
Well, the president already announced a week ago that anything that's sanctioned oil, it's not going to be allowed to get there. So that's a pre-existing.
Mr. President? The answer is yes.
The answer is yes. The answer is yes. I hate for the little Havana people to have something go wrong in their cigar shops. I'd hate for something to go wrong in Cuba. You just got to keep on your toes. Yes. So, add more countries to the list. But we're not at war. We're not in World War III. He's still a peace president, apparently. Here's just more. It's amazing. This is just a few days into 2026. And we're already feeling like it's Armageddon. Because on top of all this, U.S. seizes Venezuela-linked Russian oil tanker. So not only does this confirm that Trump is a warlord, that he's not a peace candidate, that all of you got duped and lied into that, but this also kind of diminishes the fictional fable that the liberals have always attacked Trump with, that he's a Putin puppet or a Vladimir apologist, because he just seized a Russian tanker, which is going to piss off Russia. Which I thought we were supposed to do that. I thought that was not. We can't do that because that will lead us to World War III. That will lead us to nuclear war. It looks like Donald Trump is ready to gamble with that. Like, this is all the stuff. Joe Biden. I thought Joe Biden was going to do this. I thought Sleepy Eyes Joe was going to lead us to World War III and nuclear Armageddon. Well, it looks like it was going to happen regardless, because that is how sinister this system is. These people would eliminate all life on Earth just for themselves. That's how sinister these people are. And this has been my looming theory when we discovered that billionaires have been using their funds, have been using their money to build underground bunkers. Why else would you do that? Why would you prepare with underground bunkers if you did not know America was going to lead down the path of World War III? Why would you build these ginormous bunkers? Why would all the billionaires be racing to build spaceships to launch people into space if you didn't know that behind closed doors, America was about to push the self-destruct button on the entire world? This is how luciferic, demonic, insane these people are. That they would rather self-annihilate all life on Earth. Majority of us will suffer. Majority of us would be dead. Just for them to laugh at the bank. Just to take the opportunity to destroy one another, hijack the resources, take all their earnings, and fly out of here. Why else would they build bunkers? Why else would they do all this, rocket ships? Why we need to, populate Mars? Because they know that they want to destroy all of you. They want to destroy all of you. They want to lead us into World War III. And of course, we can't forget that Zionists are also involved in this. So of course, on all the list here, we have to remember that there's always still Iran. There's always still Iran on that list. So here's Donald Trump on the Hugh Hewitt show, and here is him on the phone talking about how we need to start looking more into Iran, especially with these protesters. Isn't it amazing that we have so much concern for protesting in foreign countries and being concerned about their civil liberties and their free speech, but we're okay to lock up people within our own backyard. We're okay to freeze their bank accounts. We're okay to just stifle on American citizens, Canadian citizens. Like that, it's the hypocrisy of the West, ladies and gentlemen. Here's Donald Trump talking about Iran. Listen to this.
What about Iran? Is the aim with Iran the collapse of that awful 47-year tyranny?
Well, I don't want to say it, but I will tell you they're not doing well. As you know, probably better than anybody. They're doing very poorly. And I have let them know that if they start killing people, which they tend to do during their riots, they have lots of riots, if they do it, we're going to hit them very hard.
Now, dozens have been killed. I know you don't do red lines, but have you communicated to them what that limit of your patience is?
Well, some have been killed by, problems of crowd control and other things. We're watching it very closely. The crowds are so large, there's been a stampede. There's been 3 stampedes, and people have been killed in that, and I'm not sure I can necessarily hold somebody responsible for that, but they know.
So, yeah, he's infuriated. He's frustrated. He's drawing the red line for foreign countries about their protesters, but you protest in America peacefully, demonstrating against these wars, demonstrating against Wall Street demonstrating against, the oligarchy. Donald Trump doesn't give a damn about you. Donald Trump will send full force. They'll send ICE. They'll send anybody to go and tackle you down and shut it down immediately. They'll use full force against you. Like, this is the hypocrisy of the entire West. The hypocrisy of all this. Oh my God. Iran going after civilians who are protesting. We got to be concerned about their free speech and civil liberties over there. We got to bring them freedom. Yet these are the same ghouls, the same monsters that don't give us freedom. And they're representing us. We elected these people. We gave them a position of power. And this is their concern. Which shows the mockery of all this. They don't give a damn about anybody. This is part of we need Iran to topple to please Israel for the greater Israeli project. This is, I'm bought by a Zionist, so I'm going to pretend to give a damn about social issues in Iran when I never gave about anything about Iran in the first place. And by the way, the Iranian regime, if you want someone to blame, you can blame the CIA in the 1950s for that. I bet a lot of people don't know that because they're too stupid and too moronic to go research the basic information of why Iran is like this. Why is there an Islamic regime? Why do all these countries have a bunch of terrorists and dictators? Gee, if only I had the time to sit at my computer, Google it, and do some quick research to find out that these are the people that are creating the terror and then saying they're going to solve it. Like a giant goddamn scam. So just keep adding more to the list. And here's the hypocrisy here. Someone pointed this out. I think this was Gen X girl that tweeted this. Trump about Iran protests. If Iran shoots and violently kills peaceful protesters, which is their custom, the United States of America will come to their rescue. Come to the rescue to help them. But I have just viewed the clip of the event which took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is a horrible thing to watch. The woman screamed was obviously a professional agitator. And the woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who then violently, willfully, and ferociously killed the ICE officer. The hypocrisy is night and day. Do you see how garbage? Do you see the scam? Do you see what a big slap in the face this entire country is to you? Do you see how grotesque this is? And they want you to be so stupid, so ignorant, to just go along with this. Yeah, we got to save Iran, make Iran great again. They don't give a crap about any damn person. These are all psychotic narcissists. That's why they're in office. That's why they chose a political career. Even Donald Trump, for all the failures that he was at showmanship, as being a TV entertainer, and all the times he's been bankrupt, trying to run a casino in Atlantic City that failed, he is definitely a good politician because he duped an entire nation thinking that he was going to change things around. And guess what? It's the same as usual, folks, which is why nothing's going to change unless you actually change it. That's why we need a revolution. We need to shut this down. And I thought I'd leave on a lighthearted note that we were warned this multiple times. And here's this is the most recent, can go back a bit. This is back in 2008. Remember this guy, Mike Gravel, that unfortunately passed? And he was able to point this out. He was able to sniff out the rot within the system, the rot within our political discourse in America. And this is what he said during the 2008 Democratic debate, and they tried to snuff him ever since. And I wonder why that is.
It's like going into the Senate. You know, the first time you get there, you're all excited. My God, how did I ever get here? Then about 6 months later, you say, how the hell did the rest of them get here? And I got to tell you, after standing up with them, some of these people frighten me. They frighten me. When you have mainline candidates that turn around and say that there's nothing off the table with respect to Iran, that's code for using nukes, nuclear devices. I got to tell you, I'm President of the United States. There will be no preemptive wars with nuclear devices. To my mind, it's immoral, and it's been immoral for the last 50 years as part of American foreign policy.
Let's use a little moderator discretion here. Senator Gravel, that's a weighty charge. Who on this stage exactly tonight worries you so much?
Well, I would say the top-tier ones. The top-tier ones. They've made statements. Oh, Joe, I'll include you too. You have a certain arrogance. You want to tell the Iraqis how to run their country. I got to tell you, we should just play get out. Just play get out. It's their country. They're asking us to leave, and we insist on staying there. And why not get out? What harm is it going to do? Oh, you hear the statement, well, my God, the soldiers will have died in vain. The entire deaths of Vietnam died in vain. And they're dying in vain right this very second. And you know what's worse than a soldier dying in vain? Is more soldiers dying in vain. That's what.
There you go. That was Mike Gravel, 2008. And if a person like that was in politics, I thought that was Bernie Sanders. Clearly it wasn't. People thought that was Trump. Clearly it's not. Now you know why there's no Mike Gravels. Now you know why they snuffed him out after that moment. Now you know why the system is so densely corroded that no politician, nobody, doesn't matter who you get, doesn't matter if it's AOC, it doesn't matter who's in office. Now we know, even with a game show host who had no political stances beforehand, who basically ran for office for himself, no one's going to save you. No one's going to save you. And that's why a lot of the people that vote for Trump in 2024 are so fed up that they're done with the entire system. They're done. They're never going to vote. They're never going to campaign for anyone. They're not even going to pay attention to any more candidates. Because they know how rigged, how awful, how disgusting, how grotesque the system truly is. It's an oligarchy. It's a big club. You and I ain't in it. And the only way to stop this, the only way to actually make some change, is to take a page from the foundation of America, and we need to we need to go back to 1776. We need a revolution. And I don't mean some pussy ass, throwing the tea off the boats of Boston. I'm talking about a wall-to-wall shutdown, coast to coast, and starve this swamp. Do not give a cent to these politicians. Do not engage them. Do not even bother. Don't watch any of the mainstream outlets. Don't engage in any corporation. Don't consume any companies that are involved in this crap. We need to starve them out. We need to make them terrified of us. Because this is your tax dollars. And for all the things that Trump's saying about, well, the tariffs are going to pay for it. Just again, they also said that all the oil that they were collected from Iran or Iraq was going to pay for that war. Guess what? America's trillions more in debt. So, how good are those promises? How good are those promises? Just another day. Another day in war-loving America. Because we can't do anything else, but God, we can bomb the shit out of anybody. And clearly, we're just going to do it to anyone that stands in our way. Doesn't matter who it is.